Hello there, Xander Burkowski, or VGS, and today I'm going to talk about Assassin's Creed Origins. No, I didn't play it, but you did see a lot of content on the channel with this incredible new offering from Ubisoft. It's a new take on the Assassin's Creed franchise that's kind of gone a little bit stale. We're going to find out today if it's worth your time. I'm speaking with Evan, the curator, creator, and not of the game, but the one who's been playing it constantly on our channel. Evan, 1 out of 10. No, we don't do that. I said no numbers, no numbers.
Yeah, I hate numbered scores.
Yeah, me too. So, overall experience, you know, what you played through the entire thing, you busted out all the extra content. What do you think was your biggest takeaway from Assassin's Creed Origins?
Biggest takeaway, I think, was probably the story. The story is something that I absolutely loved. What could have been a very standard revenge story of Bayek. A bit of spoilers coming up, but I'll try to avoid the big stuff.
Please do.
I'll try to avoid the
for me because I haven't seen it yet, so don't tell me.
Well, covered very early in the game. Bayek's son is murdered by a group of masked men, and he is on a quest for revenge to hunt these people down and avenge his son's death. That could have been a very standard, normal story with a very one-dimensional character, but the way that they executed it was very different from stuff that I've normally seen.
How is it different?
On TV. Honestly, it was the inclusion of children throughout the game. So throughout the game, every village and town that you go to, all of the big story missions, most of them have a child attached in some way. So someone who was wronged in this village, their child was left behind, and he's the witness for this. And so you see Bayek interacting with these kids, and that's really what gives him this other dimension. Whereas for all of the time that he's alone and he's on these missions to kill all these different people who had some part in his son's death, it's all very much filled with rage and just absolute anger. And in these moments where he comes across children, it's not like most stories where he would start brooding because of the reminder of what he's lost. He actually celebrates the chance to interact with these kids again. Because at his core, he is a father. And he's a father without a child anymore. Even at the very early stages, when there's a mission that kind of acts as a tutorial for teaching you how to use your hawk to spot enemies, you're playing hide and seek with a group of kids in a temple.
Really?
And what could be a very tedious mission, like a little fluff piece, is actually one of the most important building blocks to show like what Bayek's character is, because of his way of interacting with all these kids.
So ironically, this game about murder set, 2,000 years ago almost, is really about family in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. This game is all like, it's the beginning of the Brotherhood of Assassins from all of the other games. It's the beginning of that organization forming, and there's a line that Bayek says as they're making the decision to form this group, where he says he wants to be a father to all of Siwa, to all of the kids who have lost their fathers to this corrupt
pre-Templar, or they're Templars?
Pre-Templar.
Okay, yeah. So just bad. So that's good.
Yeah,
that dichotomy's not there yet.
There's a precursor to the Templars.
Yeah.
Which is like the Order, which is the kill list that you have, basically.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So right off the bat, it's not even the new locale that really hits you over the head as being impressive, but it's a new take on a pretty traditional story.
Yeah, absolutely. The new location is gorgeous.
Yeah. I don't know if you're as familiar with that time period, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, they spent a lot of time of making it feel really alive. And really authentic to a degree. Would you say that was the case?
Yes, both through the design of the game and also the distance between missions that you have to travel.
Yeah. So I know Giza isn't like right beside Cairo, like they're a little bit further away.
Yeah.
You can't just jump from pyramid to pyramid, but, did it feel alive, the cities?
Absolutely. It definitely felt alive. There were tons of NPCs everywhere, and not just doing the typical, like, oh, there's the ones at the shop and the ones around here, but as you're doing the whole free running thing and stuff, if you drop onto, like, a patio or whatever they called it, there's people just sitting there, like, interacting with each other who freak out because you just landed in the middle of their dinner. It absolutely feels alive, but there's some issues with that as well.
Okay, so we'll get into the world issues a little bit more. Let's get some more of the fundamentals. So the story is impeccable, the world is great with some caveats that we'll get into. In terms of how you're interacting with the world, Assassin's Creed is a very established formula. How did it work this time around?
The formula is still there.
Yeah.
That's one of my gripes with the game, is that it's been 10 years and the assassinations still kind of boil down to find a way into the rafters and drop down on your enemy.
Yeah. When you hit them with the assassin thing, did it go to the having a conversation with the guy in the white thing? Because that's so classic.
It's in like a pitch black room now instead.
Ooh.
And I think that it actually makes a lot more sense because of the way that they include the lore and the beliefs of the ancient Egyptian religion. Bayek actually explains what those sequences are. So it's the place between life and death.
So there's a narrative reason for this, not just like
it's not just
the stupid abstergo.
Yeah.
How does that affect the story? The meta narrative that you're again going back in time to do that. Did that happen often?
It's very faint.
Yeah.
This time.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed by that because I do like the overall narrative of Abstergo and the Brotherhood.
I hate the modern day stuff though. I wish honestly these games were just period games and that had nothing to do with it. Like they weren't with the modern time stuff. I've always hated it.
You've hated it.
I've hated that part of it. I think it was so stupid. It didn't take you out of it.
It doesn't. No, it's never taken me out of it. This time, the explanations behind it are a little faint, and there's very little of it. I think I did a video of Layla, who's the one who's using the Animus. I think there's about 12 minutes of story from that in total, whereas the rest of it, there's a good 4 hours of
at least
good cutscenes and story-driven gameplay and everything. The outside the Animus is very minor.
Yeah. I do know this time around, when you're interacting with the world, you're jumping around, you're free running, you're killing things, they chose to have it very level based. So there are certain areas that you can get to unless you were a certain level, and still big open world though, right? From what you had.
Still huge open world.
How was that experience of being like this, there's only areas we could go to, and how did that affect the actual gameplay?
So I feel like I was playing the game incorrectly because I was trying to get through the game as fast as possible,
of course, yeah,
get all the story content and all of that. Whereas I think that they really want you to slow the pace down and explore the world more than what I was doing. The gated gameplay really ticked me off.
Yeah?
Throughout it, yeah. I love the leveling system at its core is great. I love the ability tree. It's massive, and by the end of the campaign, you really feel like you have develop this character. And
there's a progression. Yeah, you feel like you're powerful.
Yeah, but the stop and start between the story missions really threw me off because it feels like everything is very urgent.
Oh, I hate that.
It's a very urgent story, and you know it gives you the whole list of targets that you're supposed to be going after, but still they're at different levels, and so you're gated between each of those big story missions, which are great. You have to do 4 to 5 kind of mundane side quests. Some of the side quests are great, but some of them are very much all I could think was, Egypt is burning. Egypt is burning, I'm helping this guy get sober and find
my kids are still dead!
Yeah.
What are the sort of things you were interacting with? Because I know it wasn't only baddies, but the wildlife was something that affected the gameplay. Was that a big part or not really? Because they advertised it like it was.
It was and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was if you wanted to upgrade your, not weapons, but there was some armor pieces that you could upgrade, like your quiver and stuff, so you could hold more arrows.
How was the collectible game? Because I know that's something Assassin's Creed is quite famous for, finding all those goddamn flags from the original ones.
This one's quite a bit different, actually.
Okay.
Instead of finding I think it was feathers in the first one. You're finding locations instead of items. So like you're trying to find all of these hidden tombs that you can explore and get more equipment from. And one of the side quests that I really liked required you to scour the entire map looking for these stone circles.
Yeah, I think you get something special from all that, don't you? Like this super magic armor or something.
Yeah, there's a very cool piece of armor that you get from it. But I kind of really like the story behind it because it starts once you find one of them and you get a flashback to when you were with your son. And it's just your son wanted one day to go and find all of these.
Oh wow.
And so I think the mission is called like Bayek's Promise. Oh my God. So it's like you're fulfilling this promise to your son, and it's that kind of like story connected side quest that I really liked.
I guess looking back overall, what do you think you should tell people, just if you had to, an elevator pitch about this game, of the experience that they would have, considering you've clocked in, dozens, if not 100 hours so far?
Quite 100.
What was the elevator pitch? Because you seem to really like it. I don't get a sense that you didn't like it, but what was your final takeaway?
Well, it's a really great game with a bunch of flaws thrown in. There were some corners cut that you can see, but if you can ignore that and you can take your time and pace the game out, it's this fantastic story.
There you go. Ultimately, Assassin's Creed Origins can provide you with a great experience with some foibles, but if you're watching this, chances are you want to play games for stories, and according to our reviewer here, that's exactly what you get. Make sure you watch all the content as well. If you played the game and you're like, oh man, there's a really great scene, I wanted to see that again. Thankfully, Evan has that on Video Game Sophistry. Just click on the page here and you can access our entire coverage of Assassin's Creed Origins. Keep watching. Thank you again, Evan.
Thanks.